Somewhere on your computer, there's a folder called New Folder, Final, actually Final. Years of receipts live in there. A half-written resume. A spreadsheet nobody's opened since 2024. You've heard AI agents can clean this up, but everyone you've tried needed code, or a terminal, or a computer science degree. What if it didn't? Anthropic, the company behind Claude, just built something for the other 99% of us. It's called Claude Cowork, and it just left desktop-only beta to land on mobile and web too. So let's actually break down what it does, who it's for, and, since this channel doesn't do hype, whether it's really ready to touch your real files. Stick around, because by the end I'll tell you exactly where this thing still needs a babysitter. Number 1. What Claude Cowork actually does in plain English. Think about a regular chatbot. You type a question, it types back an answer, and that's the whole relationship. Cowork is different. You give it access to a folder or your desktop or specific apps, and it goes and works inside that space like a very fast, very literal assistant sitting at your desk. Say you dump 20 PDFs, some screenshots, and a messy spreadsheet into one folder. With a chatbot, you'd have to describe every file by hand. With Cowork, you just say organize these by client and flag anything that looks like an invoice, and it opens the files itself, reads them, renames them, and sorts them into folders it creates on the spot. It can draft documents, update spreadsheets, move files around, and chain steps together. Read this, summarize that, then build a report from both, without you copy-pasting between 10 browser tabs. And this is the part that matters for today's video. It's built to run as a semi-independent agent. You give it a task, it plans the steps, and it works through them while you do something else, checking back in only when it needs a decision from you. No code, no terminal, just plain instructions, the same way you'd brief a new assistant on their first day. And unlike a lot of AI agent demos that only work inside one narrow app, Cowork is built to move across files, folders, and programs the way you actually work, jumping from a spreadsheet to a document to a folder of images without you having to translate the task into anything technical. But here's the question that actually matters. Does no coding needed mean no supervision needed? Not quite. And that gap is exactly where this gets interesting. Number 2. Who it's really for, and who should skip it. Cowork is aimed at people who live in files and folders but don't live in code. Think freelancers juggling client folders, small business owners drowning in invoices, students organizing research, or anyone whose job is basically manage a pile of documents and make decisions about them. If you already use spreadsheets, cloud drives, or basic apps comfortably, you'll pick this up fast. You don't need to know what an API is. You just need to be able to explain a task the way you'd explain it to a new hire on day one. Who should skip it? If your work barely touches files, say you're mostly in meetings, or your job lives entirely inside one specialized piece of software Cowork doesn't touch, you probably won't get much out of it yet. And if you're not comfortable letting an AI open and edit real files on your machine, even with permissions and checkpoints in place, this isn't the tool to force yourself into. Trust has to come before delegation. Number 3. Real use cases. What this actually looks like day to day. Picture a freelance designer named Priya. Every month, she has 40 client folders, each stuffed with invoices, contracts, and revision notes scattered inside. Instead of an afternoon of manual sorting, she tells Cowork to go through the folders, pull every unpaid invoice into one summary sheet, and flag anything overdue by more than 30 days. It does the digging. She does the deciding. What used to eat her Sunday afternoon now takes long enough to make a coffee. Or think about a small nonprofit's office manager, Delhi. He's got years of donor records split across spreadsheets, PDFs, and old email exports. He asks Cowork to merge everything into one clean donor list and draft thank you emails for anyone who gave last quarter. He still reads and sends every email himself, but the blank page part, the tedious part, is gone. And now that Cowork works on mobile and web, not just desktop, there's a third case. A student named Marcus reviewing research papers on his phone between classes. He forwards a batch of PDFs and asks for a one-page comparison of their methods. He's not at a desk. He's not touching a keyboard. He's just messaging an assistant that happens to be very good at reading. 3 completely different people, 3 completely different problems, and the same tool underneath all of them. If you want to actually try this yourself instead of just watching me talk about it, there's a link in the description that'll get you started faster than digging through Anthropic's site. Number 4. Pricing, because free rarely means free forever. As of July 2026, Claude Cowork sits inside Anthropic's existing Claude plans rather than as a totally separate product. That generally means there's a free tier you can test the waters with, but comes with real limits, fewer tasks, slower runs, or caps on how much it can do in a session. The heavier, more autonomous use, the kind where it's working through multi-step tasks in the background, tends to live behind the paid subscription tiers, the same ones Claude already offers for individuals, plus separate ones for teams and businesses. Here's the thing about pricing videos, though. The moment I say a specific number, there's a real chance it's already wrong by the time you watch this. Subscription tiers shift, limits get adjusted, new plans get added. So don't take my word for exact figures. Check the current pricing yourself. Links below. Number 5. What nobody tells you. Here's the honest part. The part the polished demo videos skip. First drawback. It's not magic. It still makes mistakes. Ask it to sort a folder, and it might misfile something, misread a messy scan, or make a judgment call you wouldn't have made. Because it's actually touching your real files, a mistake here isn't just an ugly chat response. It's a renamed file or an edited document you have to go find and fix yourself. Second drawback. Trust takes time to build. The first few tasks you give it, you'll probably watch over its shoulder the entire time, checking every step, which honestly cancels out some of the time savings, at least at first. It gets faster once you learn which tasks it's reliable on and which ones need a tighter leash. Third, it's still early. Mobile and web access just expanded, which means the rough edges are fresher too. Expect occasional slowdowns, tasks that need re-explaining, or features that feel half-finished. And fourth, worth saying plainly, giving any AI standing access to your files is a permissions decision, not just a convenience decision. Start with a folder you'd be fine explaining a mistake in, not your entire hard drive. So does it need a babysitter? Yes, for now. Not because it's bad, but because handing an AI real access to your files is a bigger trust step than typing into a chat box, and no honest reviewer should tell you otherwise. The good news, that babysitting shrinks fast the more specific and low-stakes your first tasks are. So worth it? If you're buried in files and you're willing to spend a week starting small, yes. It's the first agent tool that doesn't require you to learn to code first. If you need something flawless right out of the box, wait a few months and let it mature. Either way, don't take my word for it. Go try it yourself. The link's in the description, and it'll get you into Cowork faster than searching for it blind. And if this kind of honest AI breakdown is useful to you, stick around. That's basically the whole channel.